Hey, I didn't see you there. Sorry, couldn't help myself. I wanted to share a little experiment that we've been conducting over the last week here using chicken manure. Chicken manure is something that we always use in our garden to help bump up the nitrogen levels, but I decided to go on a limb a little bit this week and actually just go out and shovel up a little bit of raw manure from the chickens and put that out on our corn. The way that we've generally done it in the past is we just shovel all their manure and stuff out into the run. You know, rain and stuff all breaks down. We end up a lot of times taking the soil out of our run and dumping it into our garden, and have had pretty good results. I decided, you know, since corn is such a heavy nitrogen using crop, that I would go out and just scrape chicken manure right off the floor of our barn and throw it in between the rows. I do want to note, I'm not throwing it right on the plant or right up against the plant. It just scattered between the rows. I'm not exactly sure how well this is going to show up on camera, but the two rows back behind here are where I dumped that manure. I dumped it right down the middle of that one. I didn't do anything with this row here. And if you look, this is the part I'm hoping shows up. This row is a lot more yellow than the rows back behind there. These ones back here are a lot more dark green. Everything's the exact same besides that manure that I put in there. And I put that in there about a week ago. We've had a couple rainstorms since then, so it's had time to soak in a little bit. This row is definitely cropped up. This outside row seemed to be doing better up until the point where I had put that nitrogen in there, and this back row here, or these rows back here, seem to be really perking up in a nice dark lush green color. So as many of you know, we've been raising those 50 meat birds this year. We opened up the barn to them. They used to have a confined area, but they're getting bigger now. I wanted them to have a little bit more run space. We have a dirt floor in there, so it's pretty easy for us just to go in, rake things up, and then take that manure and throw it wherever we want, whether that's the compost bin or throw it directly into the rows of our corn. So they often recommend you compost it for about a year or make sort of a tea out of it. Take a bunch of the manure, throw it in a burlap sack, soak it in some water for 3 to 4 weeks, and then take that water and spread it along the roots, you know, not directly on the plant. There's a couple reasons for that. One is chicken manure is very high in nitrogen and you run the risk of burning your plants. The other thing that I've read about, we've never had an issue, is the risk of spreading any potential diseases. I mean, similar to like humans, you know, a long time ago when people didn't know better, they'd go to the bathroom in places, it'd end up contaminating their water or food source, and they'd end up getting sick off of that. And theoretically, that's something that could potentially happen with this. So that's a big part of the reason they recommend not using it any sort of root type things, you know, beets or something like that, as well as things like strawberries, you know, something that could hang down and actually physically touch the ground. You go pick that item, don't wash it very well, and end up eating it. So I'm just noting that we've never experienced or had any issues with that, but that's something that I've read that could be a potential risk. With corn, you know, those stalks are up and off the ground, way away from that stuff. So as many of you know, we did some soil sample testing in the springtime. We did a store-bought kit that basically just measured, you know, the basic things, your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potash. But we also sent one off to compare against a professional lab kit. We sent it off to Midwest Laboratories. When we got those results back, there was 2 fields on there that really stood out as being a very valuable piece of information. It helps us monitor on how well we're doing, what we're putting back into our soil, if we're doing an efficient enough job to replenish that soil and make sure things stay good. And with that, they had something on there that was measured. It's called like organic material or organic matter, something that basically showed you how much organic material you had in your soil. And then they also had something on there called CEC, which is basically the way to sum that up is it tells you how well your soil actually holds a lot of the nutrition and stuff like that. So one thing that we're striving to do is improve on that CEC value. With that, we've been doing a lot of composting, and chicken manure I think is going to be another big piece of the puzzle that's going to make some improvements as well. Chicken manure is supposed to really help with helping hold moisture in the soil. Of course, there's a lot of great nutritional value out of that manure as well. So one thing I did want to know is I'll put a couple links down below that I found that showed sort of like the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash, you know, levels theoretically of some different manures, just in case that could be helpful for you. So I thought I would at least share this experiment with you guys. Granted, we're only about a week into this, but we're seeing some pretty good results. We've had a couple rainstorms, maybe 3 rainstorms, some pretty nice hot sunny days, and we're seeing some pretty good improvements. I just raked up about another week's worth of manure, about a wheelbarrow's worth. I'm going to go down and apply that down that row that's showing a little bit more yellowing and see if we continue to see the same results. But so far we've been pretty happy with this. One thing I do want to precaution you as well, you know, if you know, this corn is getting up to that tasseling phase. It's starting to get a little bit larger in size. I'd probably be a little bit hesitant to do something like this if it was more seedling sizes. And you know, if this is something you're thinking about doing, I suggest starting off with less, and you can always add more. You know, kind of look for those common symptoms. If it's all looking green and everything's looking good, you know, leave it be. But you start seeing some of that yellowing, maybe some leaves or something starting to fall off, some of the common symptoms of low nitrogen, you know, maybe try making some adjustments. Otherwise, you know, throw it in your compost bin and save it for a little bit later down the road when you may potentially need it. We'll see how things go. You know, I'm hoping next spring we'll be able to, you know, run our soil sample tests again and see some improvements on our organic matter and our CEC number, but only time will really tell here. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.